Chapter 28 of Tanya. And after we spoke about last chapter, how not to get depressed, sad, or feel melancholy when sinful thoughts fall into your mind during your regular mundane activities, now the Alter Rebbe addresses what happens if these things fall into your mind while you're actually praying or studying. When you're doing what you're supposed to do, and all of a sudden these things fall in your mind, and they can definitely make you feel depressed. Here I'm doing something good, and look, I'm still in this low place that these sinful thoughts are falling into my mind. But here the Alter Rebbe addresses it and says, no, it's not the way we should react. If something falls into your mind, just try to stop thinking about it. Try to concentrate on something else. Go back to your prayer. Just try to push it out and not think about it. Because ultimately, you have to remember one thing, that if a person consisted of one dimension, which can only do one thing at a time, so if while you're praying you think about sinful thoughts, that means you're not really praying. But because we know we have two forces within ourselves, and not only we have two forces, they're enemies of each other. Each one wants to try to win over the other one. Now, how is it generally amongst two people are fighting against each other? When one strengthens himself, the enemy strengthens themselves more. So on the contrary, if while you're praying, sinful thoughts come in your mind, that means that your Yetzer Hara, your worldly soul, sees that your godly soul is on fire and something good is happening and wants to knock it down. So you should feel good knowing that you're doing something right. This trying to knock you down, so distract yourself from it. And if you're trying to distract and you can't, at that moment, pray to God, say, God, please, I need your help to be able to move on. Beg and plead by God in your mind to be able to move on and not to be distracted. And therefore, definitely we cannot pay attention to it. And imagine that someone is standing across you when you're trying to pray and they're trying to make funny faces and doing things. You ignore them. That's what you have to try to do here, and ignore them as well. Though by tzaddikim, we're told that if sinful thoughts fall into their mind, they sort of cleanse it, they look at it, where it's coming from, they cleanse it. That's a tzaddik who doesn't have their own sinful thoughts. It's only from people who are close to them, who the sinful thoughts of those people come into the tzaddik's person, and they are able to help that other person by cleansing that thought, by sort of battling it for them, because it may be too hard for the other person. So therefore, if it falls in during prayer, first of all, know that you're doing the right thing. Second of all, just distract yourself. And this is the way you're able to move forward and not allow it to bring you down. Because ultimately, as the Alter Rebbe is emphasizing, the minute you fall into the world of sadness and melancholy, you're going against the gist of how to serve Hashem, which has to be with simcha, with joy, with openness. This concludes chapter 28. For the rest of our series, go to the Chabad YouTube channel.